I don't know if it's sad or not, but I actually get excited when things work right the first time now. I shouldn't get excited about that. That should be like the normal case.
I just get surprised.
Hey guys, welcome to Complete Developer Raw with your hosts, Will and BJ. Hey, so starting off, we want to say congrats to one of our Slack members, Dan Oswalt, on getting his first junior developer offer.
Nice.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
That's a big step.
Yeah. So if you guys are wondering why we haven't done that before, he announced it right as I was announcing that we were going live, which I forgot to press enter on. So, yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, now everybody knows we're live.
Yeah. We got to figure out how to script that or something.
Yeah, we really do.
We only get that right about one time out of 8.
That's so true.
Like, you'd think we could automate that somehow. I don't know what that. Yeah, I didn't think about that. There's got to be some way to do it.
All right, so guys, I am dressed up, swaggy. Hence the professor comment.
I like how you didn't. I like how you didn't. Show them that you're wearing jeans.
No, of course I didn't.
Yeah, when you're on video camera, you try not to talk about what kind of pants you have on.
No,
it's the rule. It's something you learn working from home.
So I spoke at Nashville Software School this afternoon. That was really awesome.
Yep.
It was great. The students there are wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
I've interacted with some of them. Well, I say some, with a lot of them as they come to our group, or as I hang out with. I have friends that are former students from there, and as I hang out with the groups. But being in front of them as a
respectable kind of person.
Yeah. But just talking to them as someone in the industry and answering their questions. I gave my talk on code smells, which I think I'm going to cut back a little bit. It's not that it's a long talk. It's just it's a lot of condensed material.
Yeah, I had to do that with mine a little bit as well, and I refined it a lot. And I found that I ended up carving out more time for questions at the end. Yeah. Because that was actually getting me a better feedback loop on my speaking as well. So I could go, they had this question. Shoot, I should answer that.
Yeah. Well, the questions I got asked were through the process, and it was funny. It was stuff that I mentioned casually. It was like, like as part of a story, I mentioned AutoMapper.
Yeah.
In passing, and then like somebody raised his hand. He's like, "What? Could you tell me what is this AutoMapper thing?" And so. Some of it was that, some of it was other stuff. But it was really cool. I'm hyped. It was.
It's kind of obvious, dude.
Yeah. Well, you're this way after you do it too. So
I know.
it's exciting and fun, which is really cool. Also, in other good news, I found a living room set for my new place. Went down and was working on it last weekend with my mom. We kind of cleaned out the kind of mess in the garage and then measured the windows and stuff like that. It's really nice they're letting us come and do that because there's no one living there now. So I'm able to come and kind of do this stuff before I move in. So of all the things, there is a Bell Buckle Gazette or something, and there was an ad for for a new store that opened up in Shelbyville that has a 12-month no interest financing.
Nice.
And so, like, my mom and I were going to get some lunch, and I was like, "Hey, you want to go eat in Shelbyville and just swing by this place and check it out?" And we did, and I found like the perfect. It's exactly my style. Yeah. No, it's nice.
Those two statements seem to be a contradiction, but okay.
Oh, come on, man.
Dude,
not totally steampunk.
No, but yeah, that's exactly what I was actually thinking. Like, how do you put the gear on the side of the couch to put the leg rest out or whatever?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It's cool. I really like it. The nice thing is it met all of my criteria, and then
you could still afford it.
Yeah. So that was nice. Other than that, I've just been packing. My place is even messier than normal now because it was too small for the stuff I had. And now I've got a bunch of boxes in there, putting things in the boxes. So, yeah, that's fun. How about you?
Several things. I am on multiple critical projects. I'm on the critical path of said critical projects. And critically, there's only so much time in a week, so it's a little bit of pain and suffering on
You're a
that.
dog. I heard you like critical projects, so I put a critical project in your critical project.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like.
yeah, we got several big things coming up at work, with our product, and I'm in the middle of all of that. And so, I jump over to one place and work for a day or so on something, just scrambling, just going as fast as I can. And then I jump over to something else and have to do the same thing. So it's just kind of a lot of that. In other news, I am currently proofing this. I don't know. Hang on, let's see.
Towards me.
Yeah. I always have a hard time with the reverse camera angle. So I wrote a book, A Developer's Guide to Surviving Whiteboard Interviews. I actually wrote this in the spring and then just got slammed and could not get out from under it. So now I'm trying to finish the final edit, and it'll be available on LeanPub, and then we don't know exactly how we're going to market it yet. But when we do know, we will tell you.
Yeah.
Because that's what marketing is. Let's just say that this is a first brush at that.
We have
and
another
then
book.
once we figure out what the heck we're doing, we're going to publish another book that we've already done the audiobook for, and then I've got to write the text for. But I wanted to get this one cleared off before I do that. So I literally will be able to hopefully say that I've written 2 books this year if I really hit it hard.
Yeah.
So
we've got the audio book. I'm working on editing the audio for, and he's taking the notes that we used for that and making the text for it.
Yeah, which we should have done it the other way around, but we learned the second time.
Yeah,
that's kind of how we are.
True.
We walk into the wall and then we go find a door.
Since we're talking about podcast and network type stuff, pretty much working on the books and getting ready to go into the holiday season. And we got some really cool stuff. We had our last quarter business meeting this past weekend.
Yeah, that's how far behind we are. We're doing our 4th quarter business meeting a month into the 4th quarter.
Yeah. So we're working on catching up. Hopefully we can take a little time during the holidays and catch up. I know. Let's be realistic. It'll be February.
I can't even keep a straight face on that one.
Yeah. But anyways, we do have some really cool, fun stuff coming up. I've been talking to a couple of people about getting a panel together for a discussion on ethics in technology.
That'd be good.
Be a lot of fun. There's some stuff that I've been picking up going to different conferences that I'm just like, wonder if anybody's thought about the ethical side of this. So,
yeah, I mean, I had an ethics class for that one semester I was at UAH. They had a computer ethics thing. Of course, you got to bear in mind that the world was completely different then.
Yep.
There wasn't a CAN spam act at that point, much less HIPAA. All this other stuff was not really there. So.
Yeah, I was one paper away, maybe 2 papers, I don't remember, away from a minor in ethics. Because I had a minor in philosophy, and I took all the ethics classes I could because I found the topic really interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's how I ended up with the history minor.
Yeah,
I was taking history classes as a buffer between a lot of the other stuff I had. It's kind of electives, and then I found out that hey, I've done everything for a history minor.
Yeah. That's sort of. I had the philosophy minor, and to get the extra stuff for the ethics minor, I had to write, I think, another paper, and it was that semester. You remember that semester that I had, I was doing my honors thesis, and I had...
Yeah, all you were doing was writing.
Yeah, I had, 2 writing intensive classes, and I was doing my honors thesis, and I literally spent all of my time just writing papers.
Yeah.
I still tell people about the picture.
And drinking tequila.
You were drinking the tequila.
Oh, yeah.
But, so...
Sorry about that.
Short story here. I was taking honors communication. It's a freshman level class, and I was a senior just because I hadn't had it yet. Had to have it to graduate. And we had a 1,000-word essay on some paper we had read or something. And I had 2 papers due in 2 of my psychology classes, senior level psych classes. And I was like, man, I was telling Will...
1,000 words.
Yeah, 1,000-word essay. It was Sunday night, and it was all due on Monday morning. I just tell him, well, like, man, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get to this. And he was like, man, it's too bad you can't turn in a picture. Picture's worth 1,000 words. I think he was a little three sheets to the wind there.
He made it. This was the semester of tequila.
Yeah.
So it was funny watching the look on his face. So, I mean, that's really all I needed. I didn't really need the tequila to get that.
So I did. I turned in a picture with a little, caption at the bottom explaining that. And when I handed it to the professor, because it was Dr. Prill. He was a really cool professor.
He's hilarious.
But when I handed it to him, I said, hey, look, I had these 2 other papers due today in like my major classes. If this is not cool, let me know. I will write the paper. I just did not have time to get it done, so I wanted to have something to turn in. And then I didn't hear from him about it for like 2 weeks. He never mentioned it again or anything. And then we get the papers handed back, and I got an A+ on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
he appreciated cleverness. Because
your ex-girlfriend was in that class with me.
Oh Lord,
Molly.
That was. Yeah. So, I had the same teacher for a speech class freshman year, and so I gave this talk on mad cow disease, and like I made it really gross, like where it really disturbed everybody, and then I walked back to my seat and sat down and ate a burger. Because I just didn't,
not to age us or anything, but there was a big scare on mad cow disease in Europe when
98, 99, yeah.
So I remember when I went over for a school trip in 2000, they're still, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So on that, let's move into
It is kind of weird how we transitioned from X's to mad cow disease. But okay, let's go forward.
Well, sometimes.
What did a senior software engineer mean when he said we were building ice sculptures? I guess he's saying that nothing is permanent. It's all going to melt. It's clear why it's broken. And
so I don't know if you guys have seen a lot of ice sculptures, but they spend a lot of time and like very detailed work building these things only for them to melt when they hit the light of day.
Yeah. So it's like any software architecture plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The expression I tend to use is that we're building a fountain, not a statue.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to be moving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. That was a really quick answer.
That was normally we talk more.
Yeah, normally we pontificate. I don't know what our problem is.
We too much talk about the past.
Yep.
All right. Next one. How do you handle developers whose work is always below average?
Well, from a statistical perspective, what you do is you get a whole bunch more crappy developers, and now they're average.
That is one option. So the thing is, I guess it kind of depends on what do you mean by always. Because how do they get hired if it's always below average? Like, is this something that is new within the past few months where it's suddenly maybe not suddenly, it may have slowly declined, but you may have someone that's burnt out who's just doing the bare minimum to get by. They may have some stuff going on at home. So the first thing you really want to do is figure out what's going on with the developer, and is this below average the best they can do?
Yeah, and is it fixable, and how long is it going to be this way?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, people just go through stuff. I've worked with people that were going through like bad divorces, or where, one of their kids committed suicide, and yeah, their code's going to suck for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of step in and help those people. I've also worked with people who, I won't say that they got burnt out, but they got really, really wound up, especially over politics or something like that,
Yeah.
and they didn't do anything for 8 months. They worked like an hour a day, and it's okay. You could say that's latent depression or whatever, but a lot of it is that they're perseverating on something and kind of intentionally doing it. And you can't really fix that, and you probably don't want to help it, especially if it comes with other behavior. So I would have a hard time saying somebody's work is always below average, or that necessarily I'm the best judge of that as another developer. Now, if you're in management, you can, you probably have enough stuff to know that.
The other thing too is it may be that this is their best. They just may not be very good at development. It's it is a career that anyone can get into, but it is not a career for everyone.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Yeah, because like it's
Well, the word could have changed under them too, right? Like they could be, they could be really good at procedural programming, for instance, and then your shop switches to object oriented.
Yeah,
which happened a lot in the 90s and the early 2000s to people. Or, they're going from the desktop to the web, or they're going from the web to mobile, or they're going from server farm to cloud, and there's just something there that they can't stand and they don't get it.
Or it could be that they came from, and I had this, I talked about it today in my Code Smells talk, where I have talked to developers who had trouble switching from a waterfall mindset to agile, and they told me they really struggled with that because they were used to getting all the specs up front and building to that, and they kept trying to build things to what they expected it to be, and then that changed on them. So they were doing a lot of extra coding, and their code looked like they were really bad developers, but because they were trying to anticipate stuff that wasn't going to come around for 5 or 6 months, and it ended up completely changing between those times.
Yeah, or they could just be in a situation where, they're getting interrupted a lot. I mean, there can be a lot of other factors that come in. I've written some horrendous code when I was getting interrupted every 15 minutes, and I found it. I actually saw some today. There's a comment that was in there that was just, that was like, I'm not sure exactly why this is this way. I found this. I know I wrote it. I got nothing.
So we talked about like how that can come about, ways to handle it. It is a bit dependent on how it comes about, but find out what's going on. If it's a case of this is the best that they can do, then maybe bring them down a little bit and not give them as much difficult work. If it's a matter of you've got, something is going on in their life, maybe temporarily put them on lighter duty and let them have a little bit more time to focus. If it's something like getting interrupted, or I've seen it where requirements are changing, like in a Scrum sprint, acceptance criteria was changing during the sprint.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, then you need to address your process problems.
Yeah, and the nice thing is if you don't have a process, you don't have to worry about that. But
well, there's that.
Yeah, but I've also seen it too, where somebody will come in there and like this happens with startups a lot. You get the guy that comes in and he's like super tactical and just slings code and can get a minimum viable product up, and he doesn't he doesn't create maintainable software. And then as the platform stabilizes, you'll get other developers that come in that are supposed to be keeping it more stable, and now they're looking at him going, his code sucks. Well, he wasn't doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, he wasn't. His purpose wasn't to build sustainable code.
Yeah, and I mean, I know a couple of guys like this that, several people are saying, hey, this person's code is horrendous. And what it really is these people are building, they're doing well-architected, commercial software and stuff. And the people that they said sucked could respond to customers quickly. Like they could crank something out that worked and got somebody past a problem for, like a one-shot solution.
This is something.
And so you just move them where they can do that.
Yeah, this is something that I kind of dealt with about a year or so ago when I started getting more involved with more enterprise-level stuff and working with other people's code just outside of my own little niche programs. And I complained a lot about some people, and turns out they are like that. They are the fixers or the rapid things, and they're not. And it took me a while to realize that type of developer is needed too.
Yeah.
Because it's so, especially when you're learning, because they really want you to build sustainable code. Everything that I took learning was so ingrained, and you were so ingrained in building sustainable, so that I didn't take shortcuts and do stupid things. But these people are people that have been doing it for a long time, and they know what shortcuts to take and not to take. So,
well, and the other thing too is like a semi-crappy plan that's executed right now can really outperform a perfect plan that takes a month.
Yeah.
Like if you got to have it right now, it can't be perfect. And so,
well, the bad plan that's executed always beats the great plan that's never executed.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was George Patton.
Yeah.
Said something to that effect, among other things, and probably with some profanity in it.
Yeah. So
I saw that movie.
Huh, nice, nice.
With my grandfather, who actually met him, and my grandmother walked in on the scene where he's talking to the troops, and she was not happy. Ooh. How do you handle developers whose work is always below average? And I just read that again because I, in fact, am a below average Facebook Live announcer. Sorry, I thought you clicked on 3.
No,
it's highlighted.
It's highlighted. I'm waiting to click on it, but I was waiting to wrap up.
I got like through 4 words, and I'm like, that sounds dumb. Yep. Okay, go on.
All right, guys.
What is the most ludicrous feature you were asked to code? I'm trying to think.
The most ludicrous thing you've done today was just a moment ago.
Most ludicrous feature. Yeah, that's tricky. Like, I've worked on a system where we had C# code that the clients could write and they could save it in the database. And we'd pull it out and compile it and then load it in a separate app domain under our stuff and run things to it, which we called that the insert virus here feature. I've seen things that were trying to do statistical analyses that we proved that the more data it had in there, the more, like, it was a scoring system, and the more data it had in there, the more it regressed to the mean.
That makes
for
sense.
Everybody's score. So, like, if you were, if you were scored 10 times and they were all high, you did well. It was up at the upper end. But because of the way that the algorithm was, if you were scored 100 times, you'd be in the middle, even if you got high. It was bad math, and it was government bad math. So it was enshrined in law. So we had to do it that way. So that was ludicrous.
I don't think I've had to do anything I would consider ludicrous.
I got asked to send medical data in bulk as part of a regular process by way of email, unencrypted. I wouldn't say that's ludicrous as much as it is illegal.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff like that was just, where people aren't completely aware of the laws or like basic, morality or anything, so you just kind of run into a lot of stuff.
I guess the closest thing I would say wasn't really a bad thing. It was just a weird thing. Was this one conversion of this arcane coordinate system over to longitude latitude. Yeah. That was I wouldn't say that was ludicrous. That was just weird. It was actually a lot of fun to write because it was very math heavy and very I really felt, that was like the first time at my job I'd really felt like a just like hardcore developer engineer type. Yeah, because before it was mostly CRUD type stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a developer, but this was when I was like, I'm an engineer. So because that's the way you say it. Engineers say it that way. I'm an engineer.
That's how pirate engineers say it. Engineer.
Engineer.
Okay, well, this is
all right. So
this doesn't bode well for recording later.
No, it does not. Let's see.
The Professor and Scruffy. Carrie. How's it going, Carrie?
He's not quite as scruffy as he has been in the past.
Yeah, I actually shaved, I think, today.
I shaved yesterday. I mean, I shave like here because if I
thank you for clarifying that.
My beard would be like up to here, and I shave my neck. It gets itchy if I'm not growing it out long.
Yeah, so. I do appreciate you clarifying that though for the studio audience. So let's go on.
All right, so guys, if you haven't checked it out, the episode that came out today is causes of poor code quality. There's a lot of bad code out there. Even in well-run organizations, there's almost always a chunk of code that nobody wants to touch. However, just because bad code happens everywhere, it doesn't mean that it happens in a vacuum. While you don't have to go around blaming people for turning your code base into an awful mess, you do want to be aware of the factors that lead to sloppy, hard to maintain, and basically disorganized code bases so that you can make some headway on actually fixing them. there's a lot of reasons that bad code is created and continues to exist, even in the best organizations. So in this episode, we're going to talk about, I didn't really fix that, did I? We talk about some of the things that are almost guaranteed.
We're going to talk about past tense released today, but you'll be listening to it in the future.
Unless you've already listened to it.
And then you listen to it again.
Yeah, you can do that. You are welcome to listen to it.
It's really omnitensed at this point. Okay, sorry.
So anyways, in the episode, we talk about some of the things that are almost guaranteed to make a mess out of your code base, as well as how to address them. We start off by talking about developer factors, then discuss management and financial factors that tend to lead to busty, nasty code over time.
Busty, nasty code.
Did I say busty, not
you
busted?
You did. You said busty, nasty code. I don't even know what that is.
It's a new word. It's a new style of coding. Busty coding.
Really? There's so many jokes that could be made. Okay.
I know. I'm avoiding.
Let's just leave that alone. Okay. So this next week's episode will be on distributed computing fallacies. So if you're building a distributed system, it's not as simple as you think it is. A lot of the assumptions you might make in a simple program are dangerous in a distributed environment for a variety of reasons. Not only are there issues like network failures, but there are a lot of things that you've counted on that simply don't work the same way. While the bad assumptions that we make when building distributed applications will not cause problems early on, they can definitely create some unpleasant surprises as your code ages. It's better to avoid these from the start, but you kind of have to know what they are. The assumptions that you don't know you're making are the ones that hurt the most in this kind of environment. So in this episode, we first talk about the difference between distributed and non-distributed computing, then discuss different fallacies to avoid when building a distributed system. So basically the idea is, here's how you can actually, step on a rake, essentially.
It's like, don't do these things, or watch out for these things. Be aware that they exist.
Yeah, and understand some of the trade-offs you're making and the failure cases that come from that. And then make them with your eyes open and go, okay, here's how I'm going to keep the entire thing from falling over if this one piece falls over. So that's what we're talking about next week, and that is completely in the future.
Yeah,
except for when we recorded it in the past.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's always that.
There's always this whole time travel thing to podcasting that's so much fun.
All right, let's see. And Carrie.
Ooh.
Carrie, hope you get to feeling better.
Yeah, I remember those migraines. Get better.
And Lori, Sarah is smiling and cooing, listening to BJ. All right. Guys that don't know, Sarah is my newest niece. 2 months? 2 months old? A little over 2 months old? I think she's still at the age where they're measuring in weeks.
Yeah. So. They stop doing that by the time you get in your 30s. He's got to get a calculator out. He's whoa. It's integer overflow weeks old. Sorry.
Yeah. So hey, Lori, glad to see you on there. Glad Sarah is enjoying it. All right, guys, we're gonna hop off here and record another episode. We will talk